I had two brothers, Brucey and Michael, and Brucey got into the heroin and became a career heroin addict. You know, he'd empty bank accounts and, you know, he'd go on these big heroin binges and, you know, he'd steal things. And Dad had this account with 30 grand in it. You know, Bruce got the checkbook and just, you know, emptied it. He was, you know, a missing person for many years. In fact, I don't even know where he is now. I can't even find him, can't even track him down, not even sure if I want to. You know, I went to politicians, I went to the police, I went to Centrelink. I said, look, you know, it's my brother, just tell me if he's alive or dead. I don't even know. They couldn't give me any information. Yeah, Mikey committed suicide, threw himself off a 10-story balcony, and you know, and then 7 years after that, Mum got cancer, liver and bowel cancer, and you know, Mum said to me that when a child commits suicide, the parent can sometimes get cancer. 9 years after Mum died, you know, Dad died as well. So you know, the whole family's kind of gone. You know, my mother used to run a bed and breakfast, you know, at Phillip Island, and this American woman came and stayed, and she said, you know, this American woman said, look, you know, I've got a son who's a lawyer, I've got a son who's a doctor, and I've got another son who's a scientist or something like that, you know. And this American woman said, you know, in the morning, tell me about your 3 kids. And you know, and I said to Mum, and Mum, you know, Mum said she had a sleepless night. She had no idea what to say. And I said to Mum, you know, you should have looked this woman in the eye, and you should have said, one of my sons committed suicide, the other one's a heroin addict, and the other one's a nutcase. That's what you should have said. And because that's what I would have said. It's a bit of a windy night out there. Yeah, the wind is going. There's a few bangs and crashes and everything. And, you know, when I hear a big bang, I ultimately, or inevitably, I should say, get paranoid, you know. Yeah, I kind of want to go and, you know, check the doors and do all those things and, you know. You know, madness is an interesting thing. You know, I mean, I've got a mental illness, and you know, I've been quite unwell, you know, at times, and quite well at other times. You know, can anyone look at my stuff and go, you know, look, you know, that's not very good mental patient art? I mean, you know, under the guise of mental illness, it's almost like anything goes. It's like you can do under anything almost, you know.
You did this to me. You did this to me. You.
And it's weird because as the person who's experienced all that mental illness, you know, I pretty much have the same dreams, hopes, ambitions that I would have had when I was young. You know, you want to get married, and you know, you want to live in a nice house, and you want to drive a nice car, and you want to, you know, rah. You know, I found that to be profound. That even in the depths of madness, you still wanted to be successful, and you were still conscientious. I'd like there to be a sense that anyone could kind of own one of my artworks. You know what I mean? Like almost anyone. You know, like in Australia, for instance. You know, madness is an interesting thing. You know, it's not something that happens internally. Madness. You know, it's the outside world that goes mad, and I think that that's why people end up psychotic and in hospital and you know, in treatment, stuff like that. I mean, if it's in your head, you know, surely you can just shake it off and go, oh, you know, it's just in your head, you know. But madness is an interesting thing, you know. I went mad originally because I thought my neighbour was a serial killer. You know, I did these series of 3 paintings, and they were kind of a force field.
I've had a bit of a mixed bag, Alan, to be honest, with my robot Jamie. He made a sexual advance at me when I was in the shower. Then he stuck his finger up my clacker. And now I'm living with about 10 of them, and they're playing the Carlton theme song every 5 minutes. So I'm not happy, Jan.
Royden hit me with a baseball bat, and he also drilled a hole in my head. I've never been so afraid in all my life. I wanted to bring a restraining order against him, but I stopped myself because of my great love for him, because I care for Royden, and I love him as if he were my only son.
Royden, you're this close to being brought in. And I'm personally going to see that your CTO is going to be extended.
One of the biggest observations I had about Larochnal, you know, back in the day, this big psychiatric hospital, was that there was all this big parklands, and you had these kind of like locked wards where the doors were locked, and then you had these open wards where people were kind of free to walk around, and they'd have a, you know, big cafeteria and all this type of stuff. And a lot of the psychiatric patients would buy soft drink, like a 2-litre bottle of soft drink. And you'd see these kind of stocky guys, you know, walking around with these 2-litre bottles of soft drink, just drinking kind of, and then they'd drink it during the day, and then I'd buy another one. And the reason behind that was that the, you know, the caffeine in the soft drink and the sugar and everything would kind of wake them up a bit.
It's a good question. It's a very good question. What is madness? Madness is when you can't get the lid off the Vegemite. I can't use the word Vegemite. Sorry. Madness. Okay, so let me ask that again. What is madness? Madness is it's a collapse of reason.
You know, life is full of disappointments. You know, you know, it's a hard life. You know, you kind of, you know, you want to be seen. You know, you want to kind of get ahead. You want to have some sort of breakthrough, but it's all very tough. You know, and you know, you get an opportunity, and it becomes a half opportunity or whatever. You know, I think that the pursuit of happiness almost sets you up in a way to kind of not be happy in a way, because it's kind of, like if we were, in a philosophical sense, if we were cartoons where we never felt pain, then what would it all mean?
Oh, people, here we are. We stand on the stage. We stand on the stage in twilight. Oh, the world is nigh. The world is nigh, I say. Checkmaster, checkmaster. Triangle, triangle. Where is the spring? The springtime. The springtime. I am me. I am not you. You are not me. I am you. I am you. You are not me. Oh, I am the starlet of creation.
So I think the challenge is to really kind of bear all and be all, and in that sense, if you have a faith disposition, I think that God has been incredibly graceful with me and has helped me and delivered me from the claws of death, a number of times, and the sliding door incident, and sometimes on the news, you see that 25-year-old person's died, and you think, man, that could have been me, or, a 33-year-old person, has been involved in a serious car accident, it's costing their life.
Nobody understands my genius.
Well, I think that the first time you get admitted to a psychiatric unit is the most traumatic. Basically, you don't know what's really happening to you. You've been through a bit of a traumatic situation. You're taken to an unfamiliar place, and then you're just, given very little contact with staff, and you're just kind of put in a room or put in a HDU, a high dependency unit, or an open ward, and basically you're kind of left there just to kind of wander around in your own kind of madness and your own mad thoughts, and it's difficult. It's an incredibly difficult thing to go through.
Anyway, so I had these string of paintings up about lentils anything, and I sold one. I don't even know who I sold it to, but I sold one of the paintings at Lentils Anything. And but then the second exhibition I had was at the Jackman Gallery, and I sold 2 paintings at the Jackman Gallery. And I don't even know why I started talking about this, but yeah, but it was kind of interesting. This whole idea of marketing. You have to respect God. Yeah, you have to respect that mastery because God can lead you. Because God can lead you into heaven or hell. My brother Bruce had gone over to Trevor's and said, "Oh, Ian thinks you're hurting people. He thinks you're a serial killer," and all of a sudden, then I'm thinking, well, if I'm right, doesn't that make me a target? You know what I mean? Was it a powerful delusion? Was I right? Was Trevor just a weird guy? But it did set the stage for madness. What is mad person art? Or what does mad person art look like? Or how should mad person art look? These paintings look like they've been painted by a mad person. It's an interesting observation. The takeaway from that is that, mad person art is what I create. very colourful, there to wake you up, very vibrant, but also kind of, it's funny, because, when you create art through a shifting mind, or your mind, or, through your psyche, you've got this shifting psyche and you're creating art. I mean, the art can look quite mad at times, and then what happens is that skill, maybe even trial and error, starts to get the upper hand, and maybe some of that madness leaves the work. I'm not sure, but you've got to be aggressive in the way you market your work. It was funny, there were people in the neighbourhood who were, there were dodgy people in the neighbourhood, and there were dodgy people in the family, people who, kind of like, people who were like, who sexually abuse people, they seem, back in the 70s, it seemed to be kind of like, it seemed to be kind of here, there, and, and stuff like that. And Bruce and I were affected by a certain family member, and then my brother Michael was affected by the guy who lived, kind of down the road. And so, it was very, one of those tough things. And I think that plants the seed of trauma in a way, where, you kind of like, it's interesting when you realise the depth of someone's mask, that's really what it's about, that someone can sit at the dinner table and make small talk, but, they've got this secret side that you know about, but they're not letting anyone else know about. And I think that type of thing can have a lifelong effect on you, where you kind of think that nothing is real and nobody is really, like anybody could be anybody.
We hand out about 200 food parcels every week to the disadvantaged in Broadmeadows. So if you're in a position where you can donate to...
And I've talked about it, till the cows come home, the whole idea that, the whole idea that there's these very thick masks, or kind of in a sense people masquerading. Probably the saddest thing that I've ever been through was seeing Mum die. I was staying in her hospital room with her the last week she was alive, and I was just looking after her and everything. And and the doctors came in and they basically, like just before she died, they came in and they said, "Look, we're going to put this needle in her stomach and we're going to kind of ease the pain and just put her in this state, and what they didn't tell me was that." She was just kind of going to doze off into this kind of, kind of sleep and everything. And I remember, I'd been saying goodbyes and, comforting her and everything. And she said something to me interesting. She said to me, "I didn't know you would be like this with me, looking after me like this." And I kind of, it affected me because I thought, don't you know me? My mother was, that she was the love of my life. There's that Jewish thing, about my mother, my type. There's that, that a man will marry. When a man marries a woman, he's marrying his mother. Especially if she's been a great woman. And I remember Mum was lying in bed, and I was kind of, I was rubbing her forehead, and I was, talking to her, and I remember, I kind of wasn't ready to say goodbye, and I remember, I got the bed mechanical thing, and I tried to sit up in the bed, I kind of like, because I think in death, we're never quite ready, to say goodbye. We're never ready to it's like, there's no preparation for it. We're never ready to kind of let it all go and say goodbye.
Well, I don't mind to slow down anymore. I don't mind the sound of my shoes on your floor. I don't mind selling out or playing cover song, just as long as friends and family sing along. And I don't need more money or a faster car, no. Don't need a magazine to call me a superstar, no. I'm gonna take this little house and make a home, and then I'll never have to face my nights alone. 'Cause in my heart I hear Spain, and on my face I feel you breathe next to me, to by land, by air, by sea. And that is how it's supposed to be now, and that much I can say now. Pulling loaves of bread down from the shelf, and how rare it is that I stay up past 12. In the backyard we are going to start a garden. If that don't sound mighty good, I beg your pardon.
I was in Larundel Psychiatric Hospital, and I was really I was estranged from God, put it that way. I'd stopped going to church, smoking cigarettes, and everything. And I think that my understanding, when I say estranged from God, I'd been a Christian, I'd stopped going to church, I'd gone back to my old life. I'd had a particularly rough time at church, been quite bullied really quite badly. And I thought the serial killers after me, things getting, and then I thought the government was after me, things getting worse and worse and worse. Well, then I thought the police force was after me. Anyway, and the funny thing was is that in my thinking, there was a thought there that the police force was setting me up for sport, for fun. Anyway, I'm in Larundel Psychiatric Hospital, and I'm in the art room in Larundel, and I'm making all this art to kind of defend myself. And one of the things I made, which I think is very beautiful, and this photo of it here, was that this magic hat. And this magic hat that I made in Larundel was really, it was to turn me into a wizard. That's why I made it. I made the magic hat to turn me into a wizard.
What happened to me bicycle? Where's me bicycle, Trent? I haven't got your bicycle back. It's still being fixed. It's not ready. Trent, listen to me. Trent, listen. Stop it. Stop talking. Stop talking at me. Stop talking at me. Listen. No. You listen to me. You said I'd have my bike back and I'd be able to go down to the milk bar and buy chocolate bar. I haven't got your bicycle back. It's not ready. It's being fixed. It's not ready. If you weren't my little brother, I'd come and give you a backhand. You're going to sit there and argue with me and stuff like that. I'm not going to put up with it from my big brother. You stop at all. You stop talking. What did you say to me? What did you say to me? Listen, I'll give you a backhander.
I believe that your actions at this moment are not rational, and that it could affect your mental health treatment at the clinic. You could even be made an involuntary patient, which would not be good for you, considering that your rights would be taken away from you and your CTO would be extended. I'm going to offer you a suggestion that we go back upstairs, sit down, you have a coffee, take some Valium, and maybe have a lie down, and I'll go and sit down and listen to some music. I think this is a good compromise, considering your current mental state, which I find most concerning. Please reconsider your actions, for I am just like you. I too have feelings.
I went to the National Gallery of Victoria, and I got 600. I got 600 of these with this image, and I just dumped it out the front of the National Gallery of Victoria. And it was kind of like it was just. I mean, ultimately, I'm trying to reach out to them, of course, and that's why I did it. I'm trying to reach out to them. But it's part of that whole idea of what, like in my limited way, what can I do? And I called it a photo dump. It was like a photo dump. I photo dumped 600 frames. I could have dumped them out the front of Parliament House. But then they would have thought I was making a mental health statement.
Barry, I've got your medication for you.
I don't want any medication. There's nothing wrong with me.
Barry, you must take this.
There's nothing wrong with me. You're being controlling and you're being like a fascist.
Barry, if you don't take this, you're going to relapse.
No, there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with me.
Come on, Barry.
In a funny kind of way, this moment, this moment of this magic hat, nobody would know it ever existed. And there'd be no memory of it really in anyone's mind if it hadn't been for this photo. And I made other things in the Larundel Art Room as well to kind of empower myself, and I kind of think to myself, I think to myself, the magic hat got me through, and in a weird way, I continue with that today. I mean, I still make art in an attempt, I think, to kind of protect or empower, or, and because, at times there's that feeling that the stakes are just getting, the stakes are getting more and more and more.
I don't understand why Mushroom don't just run with us and pick us up on this, all right? Have they got rocks in their head? Why can't they see that I'm the greatest actor ever come out of Doncaster? What's the problem with them? Don't they understand that, we could get new songwriters, new producers, new record deal. We could start it all up all over again. I think what we need to do, you and I, get together and make a contract where we solidify our agreements.
I met this nice girl, and she was part of the church in Manila. She was kind of part of our church over there. And I said to Joe Pay, I said, look, do you want to come to Australia for a holiday? I'll pay for you to come over. And she said to me, oh, you've got to come here first. So I went with a friend, and we went to Manila and went there for 14 days and just had a great time. And I remember hopping off the plane and coming out of the airport, and and she turns up with a few friends in a car, and the first time I saw her, face to face, I felt sorry for her. I thought, oh no, there's 8 years difference between Joe Pay and I, but I just felt she could do so much better.
I remember being taken out of the police van, put on the ground, and a woman came and did a little test with my eyes to see if I wasn't too badly beaten up. And I was covered in blood. It was sort of traumatic. I was taken to Larundel. I lay down on a bed, and they put stitches in my forehead. They couldn't stitch up the dog wounds because then the wounds could have got infected, so they had to leave those open. So, I mean, that's traumatic to go through. You kind of think there must be some better way of doing it than basically just 5 or 6 police. With police with baton swinging and police dogs on one guy who's mentally unwell. There must be some better way to do it. But, I mean, maybe there's not.
Let's bow our heads as we pray together. Lord our God, we stand in awe of your amazing and empowering love. We are humbled to be in your presence, knowing that all that we are is because of you. Yep. Your love is better than life, and our lips readily glorify your name. We thank you for the bond that you blessed Joe Pay and Ian with, a bond that is based on love and faith in you, a bond that today we all bear witness to and rejoice. Yeah. We pray that your hands will bless their walk together as they experience exciting days ahead and spread their love to ignite the faith of countless others.
Joe Pay, she's kind of been the missing piece. I mean, she's taken... I was a psychiatric patient. I was working part-time. I was on part disability support pension. We're talking there wasn't much exciting going on. I was really overweight at the time.
Performing monkey, monkey secret.
And she's taken that canvas and turned it into kind of, what this is now, And I think that's, there's that story in the Bible, where, God looks at Adam in the Garden of Eden and says, man, it's just not good for man to be alone. It just doesn't work,
So this medication that he's been on, how long has he actually been on it now?
About 6 weeks.
6 weeks. And what was he on prior to that?
He was on a sedative-based medication.
Was any start? What was? Have you been on antidepressants?
No, he hasn't been on antidepressants. Not yet.
And the actual diagnosis for Barry?
He's got an obsessive compulsive disorder.
And you haven't got memory loss, Rod?
And he's got anger. Lots of anger.
I don't have anger!
Joe Pay and I ended up having IVF because Joe Pay wanted, to be a mum, and and I wanted Jopa to be a mum, I think, you know, because I think for her it was important, you know. We had these 3 IVF cycles and we had 10 embryos, and the 10 embryos we had in the 3 cycles survived to day 5, so they were kind of frozen, and none of them worked except the last ones. You know, they put 2 in and it didn't work, and they put another 2 in, didn't work, and then she gave birth to our beautiful little baby daughter Ocean, you know, and you know, our daughter's name is Ocean Tyler Stevenson. What's interesting is, you know, the whole family got wiped out, you know, and then from this black stump, this green shoot comes up, and you know, the Stevenson / Owen Craze family continues on. Almost against all odds. You know, when my dad was dying, you know, Dad said to me, you know, it's a shame, Ian, that you won't have anyone to look after you when you're old. And, you know, if everything goes well, you know, when I'm old and, you know, and I can't taste the food I eat anymore, and desire is no longer stirred, and the days of darkness are upon me, you know, I might have, all going well, I might have, you know, my beautiful daughter Ocean snuggled up to me, looking after me the same way that I did with Mum. And, you know, we kind of, like a painting, you know, if you look really close to a painting, it's just these blotches and it doesn't make sense. But when you stand back, you know, you see this picture, and, you know, like everything I've been through and all the madness and the mayhem and the, you know, the failed this and the hardship that and everything, you know, kind of as I stand back and look, you know, the boundary lines have fallen in pleasant places for me. And I can see the tapestry of it all. And I've landed in a spacious place.
What's your name?
Gorgeous.
No, I know we're calling you gorgeous, but what's your name?
These are Barry's adult nappies. Barry has a continence problem and now needs to
Excuse
wear
me, Rodney. I don't think the camera crew want to hear about the nappies, Rodney. I think that there are some things about your life that you don't need to share with everyone else.
It's not about my life, it's about you.